At my son's first birthday, my husband's phone buzzed, a message from my best friend. When are you telling her? My hands trembled as I looked at him. My sister whispered, not here. I took a deep breath and smiled. Oh, this is the perfect place. When I pulled out the DNA test, my husband's jaw dropped. I never imagined I'd be posting here, but I need to share my story and get some advice. It's a long one, so please bear with me. My name is Sarah, I'm 32, and I've been married to Jake, 34, for 5 years. We have a beautiful son, Ethan, who just turned 1. We live in the Lincoln Park neighborhood of Chicago. Life seemed perfect, until it all unraveled. Jake and I met during our junior year at the University of Illinois at Chicago. He was this charismatic guy from New York, always the center of attention. I was drawn to his energy. After graduation, we decided to stay in Chicago for his job at a marketing firm downtown. I found work as a graphic designer, and we settled into our life together. My best friend, Laura, and I have been inseparable since high school. We grew up together in Evanston, just north of the city. When she moved to Chicago for a job in public relations, I was thrilled. Having her nearby felt like having a piece of home with me. She and Jake got along well, which made me happy. I never thought twice about their friendship. For Ethan's first birthday, we planned a small party at our apartment. Just close friends and family. I spent weeks organizing everything, wanting it to be perfect. The day finally arrived, and our place was filled with laughter and joy. I was in the kitchen, arranging the cupcakes, when Jake's phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced at it, not intending to pry, but the preview of the message caught my eye. When are you telling her? It was from Laura. My heart stopped. Hands trembling, I picked up the phone and unlocked it. The full message read. When are you telling her? We can't keep this up. I felt like the floor had been pulled out from under me. My vision blurred, and I had to steady myself against the counter. My sister, Emily, noticed something was off and came over. Not here, she whispered, glancing at the guests. But I couldn't let it go. Not now. Not after seeing that message. Oh, this is the perfect place, I said, my voice shaking but loud enough to catch attention. The room grew silent. All eyes were on me. Jake looked up from where he was playing with Ethan, confusion written all over his face. Sarah? What's going on? He asked, standing up. I held up his phone. Maybe you can tell me, I said, my voice breaking. When are you telling me what, Jake? His face went pale. He took a step towards me, but I backed away. Don't, I warned. Just don't. Laura, who had been chatting with my mom, froze. Her eyes widened in panic. Sarah, let's talk about this privately, Jake pleaded. Privately? I let out a bitter laugh. You mean like how you've been privately talking to Laura? How long, Jake? How long have you two been? I couldn't even finish the sentence. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not now. Sarah, please, Laura started, stepping forward. Don't you dare, I snapped. You were my best friend, Laura. My sister. How could you? Jake ran his hands through his hair, a gesture he always did when stressed. It just happened, he muttered. Just happened? I echoed. That's your excuse? The room was deathly silent. I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes, their pity, their shock. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. You know, I began, reaching into a drawer and pulling out an envelope. I've been feeling off lately. Thought maybe it was just the stress of planning Ethan's party. But then I started wondering. I pulled out the contents of the envelope, a DNA test. Jake's eyes widened. What is that? He asked, though I suspected he already knew. A paternity test, I said, my voice cold. I had a feeling. Call it intuition. Laura gasped. You didn't. I did, I confirmed. And guess what? Ethan isn't yours, Jake. The color drained from his face. What are you saying? I'm saying, I began, my voice rising, that while you were sneaking around with my best friend, I found comfort elsewhere. The room erupted into murmurs. My mother looked like she might faint. Emily stepped closer to me, offering silent support. Jake looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Who? He demanded. Does it matter? I shot back. You betrayed me first. Laura's face was streaked with tears. Sarah, I'm so sorry, she whispered. Sorry? I laughed bitterly. You're sorry? Sorry doesn't cut it, Laura. Jake sank into a chair, burying his face in his hands. I can't believe this, he mumbled. Believe it, I said. Our marriage has been a lie. The weight of the situation pressed down on me. I felt exhausted, drained. I think you should both leave, I said finally, looking between Jake and Laura. Jake looked up, eyes red. Sarah, please. Let's talk about this. There's nothing left to talk about, I said, my voice firm. Get out. Laura hesitated. Sarah. Now, I snapped. She flinched but nodded, grabbing her purse and heading for the door. Jake stood slowly, looking around the room as if searching for support. Finding none, he followed Laura out. As the door closed behind them, the room remained silent. I felt the weight of everyone's eyes but couldn't meet any of them. Emily wrapped an arm around me. I'm here for you, she whispered. I nodded, finally allowing the tears to fall. Ethan cooed from his playpen, oblivious to the chaos around him. Taking a deep breath, I wiped my tears and walked over to my son, picking him up and holding him close. We're going to be okay, I whispered to him. I promise. And in that moment, I knew we'd find a way to move forward, no matter how broken I felt inside. That night, I didn't sleep. Not even for a minute. I laid on the couch, staring at the ceiling, Ethan asleep in his crib in the next room. I kept hearing that message in my head, when are you telling her? Like a fire alarm going off over and over. By morning, my phone was full of messages. Jake had texted at least a dozen times, please talk to me. I made a mistake. Let me explain. You can't just throw away our marriage. I didn't respond. What could he possibly say? What was left to explain? Laura also messaged. Hers were worse. Sarah, please don't hate me. You're like family to me. It just happened. I didn't plan it. He said you two were drifting apart. That last one made my blood boil. He said we were drifting apart? The next few days were a blur. I called in sick to work. I didn't have the strength to design anything, let alone fake a smile in meetings. Emily stayed with me, helped with Ethan, made sure I ate. She didn't push me to talk. She just stayed, which was exactly what I needed. Then something strange happened. I got a letter. A real one. In the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo. It was of Jake. And Laura. At a hotel lobby. They weren't doing anything obviously intimate. Just sitting close. Talking. Laughing. But the date stamped on the bottom corner? It was from before Ethan was even born. 7 months before his birthday party. That meant their affair didn't just happen. It had been going on for at least a year. There was a note inside the envelope. Typed. No name. You deserve the truth. It's been going on longer than you think. I stared at the photo for a long time. I called Jake. I didn't plan to. My hands moved before my mind did. He answered on the first ring. Sarah? Who sent me the picture? He paused. What picture? You and Laura. Hotel lobby. Dated last year. Silence. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was unreal. You said it happened once. Maybe twice. You lied. Again. Sarah, I didn't know anyone took a picture, so it's real. He sighed. Yes. We were, together. For a while. I hung up. That same night, I went through old photos on my phone. Pictures from when I was pregnant. There were gaps. Days when Jake had late meetings or out-of-town work events. He had missed my second ultrasound. Told me his boss needed him in Milwaukee that week. I believed him. Now I couldn't stop seeing the cracks. 2 days later, I got another message. Not from Jake. Not from Laura. It was from a woman named Tessa. I don't know how to say this. I think we need to talk. It's about Laura. I didn't know her. I replied anyway. We met at a coffee shop in River North. She was younger than me, maybe late 20s. Nervous. She stirred her drink the whole time we talked. She told me she had dated Laura. Briefly. About a year ago. She said she wasn't serious with anyone, Tessa said. I found out later she was seeing a married man, too. She bragged about it. Said he was going to leave his wife. She never said your name, but when I saw your birthday post on Instagram, I recognized her. I felt cold all over. Laura wasn't just in love with Jake. She was playing games with multiple people. People who trusted her. That's when I started to wonder, did Jake even know how far it went? I decided to dig deeper. I needed to know everything, how long this had been going on, who else knew, and what the hell they were planning. That's when I found it. On Jake's old iPad, which he barely used anymore but had left at home. He forgot to log out of his email. I didn't mean to snoop at first, I was just trying to see if I could figure out where his head was at. But then I saw the folder. Private inside were dozens of emails. Between him and Laura. Some were short, meeting times, hotel bookings. Others were long. One caught my eye. Subject line, about Ethan. It was from Laura. You know he doesn't look like you, right? You need to get that test before she does. If she finds out first, this all blows up. That email was from 4 months before Ethan's birthday. 4. She knew. Jake knew. They were planning how to cover it up. How to hide it from me. How to protect themselves. My stomach turned. I closed the iPad and stared at the wall for a long time. Everything I thought I knew about Jake, about Laura, about my life, it was all fake. But the worst part? The DNA test was real. Jake wasn't Ethan's father. So now, the biggest question wasn't even about the affair anymore. And I had a sickening feeling I already knew. Alright, here's what happened next. After I found that email from Laura, about Ethan not looking like Jake, I couldn't stop thinking about it. That email meant they had doubts about Ethan's paternity before I even did. But here's the thing. If they were both so sure Jake wasn't the father, who was? At first, I thought they were just assuming I had cheated. Like some kind of projection or manipulation. But then I remembered something that made my stomach twist into knots. There was one night. Just one. A few weeks before Jake's business trip to Milwaukee. Jake and I had been fighting a lot then. Nothing major, just stress. Work, pregnancy stuff, exhaustion. One night, I went out with some coworkers from my old job at the design agency. We had drinks at a rooftop bar in the West Loop. One of the guys, Daniel, had always been kind to me. Never crossed a line. That night, though, I was emotional. I was 3 months pregnant and terrified Jake was pulling away from me. Daniel and I talked on the balcony. I cried. He held me. I kissed him. And yes, that night, I went home with him. It was a stupid, reckless mistake. I left the next morning feeling disgusted with myself. I never told anyone. I buried it. I convinced myself it didn't mean anything. I told myself the baby was Jake's. I didn't even want to think about the possibility that it wasn't. But now it was all unraveling. I found Daniel's number in an old group chat. He still lived in the city, working for a tech firm downtown. I messaged him. "Hey. This is awkward, but we need to talk. It's about that night. And my son." He responded within an hour. We met at a coffee shop near Millennium Park. I had Ethan with me. Daniel froze when he saw us. His eyes went wide, then he sat down slowly. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I'm not saying he is yours," I said. "But I did a DNA test with Jake. He's not the father." Daniel looked at Ethan. Really looked. He didn't say anything right away. But I could tell he saw it too. The eyes. The mouth. The dimple. "Jesus," he muttered. "I think he might be mine." We both sat there, completely stunned. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I asked him to take a test. He agreed. A week later, the results came back. 99.99% match. Daniel is Ethan's biological father. I didn't even have time to process it before the next storm hit. Jake found out. I don't know how, maybe he still had access to my email or saw something in the shared mail pile, but he showed up at my apartment, furious. "You lied to me," he yelled. "You let me think he was mine. You were cheating with my best friend, Jake." "That doesn't matter." "Oh, but it does. You knew something was off. You were going to lie forever. You had a plan." "I loved that kid," he said, voice cracking. "I still do." That stopped me. Because I believe him. For all his screw-ups, for all the cheating and lying, Jake did love Ethan. "I'm not taking him away from you," I said. "You'll still see him. But you don't get to act like the victim here." He sat down. Put his head in his hands. I just wanted to fix it before it all fell apart. But it had fallen apart. Later that week, I got a call from Laura's sister. I'd never even spoken to her before. "Sarah," she said, "I don't want to get involved, but you need to know something. Laura's not who you think she is." "No kidding. She's been doing this for years," she continued. "Other people's husbands. Fiancés. One of her exes even filed a restraining order. She keeps getting away with it because people are too embarrassed to talk." It was like the final piece clicked into place. Laura chose Jake. Not by accident. Not by love. But because he was mine. She didn't just betray me. She targeted me. That realization made my skin crawl. This wasn't just an affair. It was planned. There's more. But I need to take a breath before I get into what happened when Laura tried to come back, and what I found on her phone later. A week after I found out Daniel was Ethan's father, things exploded. Jake had been texting nonstop. Not angry texts anymore, just desperate. Begging to see Ethan. Telling me he forgave me. That we could still be a family. That he'd raise Ethan as his own, even if he wasn't biologically his. I didn't answer most of them. I didn't know what to say. I was still numb. Still trying to piece together everything Laura had done, and everything Jake had allowed. Then Laura showed up at my apartment. She didn't call first. She just knocked. I opened the door and stared at her. She looked different. Not just tired or sad, nervous. She was holding her phone in both hands like it was a shield. "Can I come in?" she asked softly. "No," she swallowed. "Please. Just 5 minutes." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. She looked down, then up at me. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I laughed. "You mean you didn't mean for me to find out?" "No, I mean, Sarah, it wasn't supposed to go that far. Do you even hear yourself?" She looked like she wanted to cry. I just. I felt something with him. Something I never felt with anyone else. And I knew it was wrong, but he told me you two were already over. That you weren't even sleeping together. My stomach turned. So that makes it okay? No, she said quickly. But I wasn't trying to hurt you. You've been trying to be me since high school, I snapped. I just never saw it. She flinched. That's not true. You moved to my city. You attached yourself to my family. You seduced my husband. And now you want forgiveness? I lost everything too, she whispered. No. You took everything. That's not the same. I turned to go back inside. Then she said it. I'm pregnant. I froze. I slowly turned back to face her. What? I'm pregnant, she said again, her voice trembling. It's Jake's. I didn't plan it. I only found out last week. I had no words. I couldn't even breathe for a second. You're lying, I said, my voice flat. I'm not. Of course you'd find a way to make this about you. Even now. I thought you should know, she said. Before he does. I stared at her. He doesn't know? She shook her head. Not yet. I went back inside, locked the door, and slid to the floor. My chest felt like it was being crushed. I couldn't cry. Couldn't scream. I just sat there. Ethan was napping in the next room, unaware of how far his world was unraveling. Later that night, Jake came by. I didn't answer the door at first, but he kept knocking. It was cold. He didn't stop. I opened the door and didn't say a word. He stepped inside. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. He looked confused. What's going on? I turned to face him. Laura came by. He tensed. What did she say? I looked him dead in the eye. She's pregnant. She says it's yours. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He just stood there, like someone had turned off the world. I didn't know, he finally whispered. But you believe it's possible? He sat down, his hands shaking. Yeah. It's possible. And that was it. That was the moment it all broke. You ruined everything, I said. You could have stopped it. You could have told me the truth. You didn't just cheat, you destroyed two families. You let me think Ethan was yours while you were sleeping with my best friend. And now she's having your baby? He looked up, eyes full of tears. I still love you. No. You don't. You love the version of me you can lie to. Then Emily walked in. She hadn't said much the past few days. Just stayed quiet. But now, she stood between us. I think it's time for you to go, Jake. He didn't argue. He stood, looked at Ethan's closed door, and walked out. That was the last time he saw Ethan. Weeks passed. Laura's pregnancy was confirmed. She tried to reach out again, but I blocked her everywhere. She sent a letter, handwritten, saying she wasn't keeping the baby. I didn't respond. Jake moved out of the city. I heard he transferred to a different office in Indianapolis. He sends birthday cards for Ethan, but he never tries to visit. I think he knows there's no space for him here anymore. Daniel and we've talked. He stepped up more than I expected. He visits Ethan every weekend, sends money, asks questions. We're not together romantically, but there's something there. Maybe not love, but respect. And that feels like a miracle right now. My mom said something the other day that stuck with me. She said, you can't go back, but you can look at the pieces and decide what to build next. I don't know what I'm building yet. Some days I still cry in the shower. Some nights I stay up late, wondering what I missed, what I could have done differently. But I wake up every morning to Ethan smiling at me. And I remember, he's worth it all. The pain. The betrayal. The shame. He's my reason to keep going. I lost a husband. I lost a best friend. But I found something else, my voice. I'm not the same Sarah I was a year ago. I'm stronger. Not because I wanted to be, but because I had to be.